Um, I hope you're doing good. My name is Peter, and I'm very happy today to be hosted here on KCTV. And my host, of course, is Casey. Of course, is Shalin. Um, I am very glad, and I've been invited here to talk about how I survived parental abuse and manipulation. Uh, I'm very grateful for this opportunity that I've been given to talk about something that is so sensitive yet so necessary, because probably our stories, your story, my story, and another person's story on this platform is going to raise an awareness, to people who are listening to us, so that they can understand that abuse from parents is not something that is normal or something that should be tolerated, but something that should be condemned and should be confronted with all efforts, because children actually grow up putting their trust on their parents. And it is paradoxical and ironic that the same parents who are expected to protect their children, to support their children in each and every endeavor, are the ones now are turning against their own children's, and they are abusing and manipulating them in different ways. And I am one of those people who went through this kind of pain when I was growing up, and it wasn't anything that was funny at all. It was painful, and it was really something that made me question my the reality, because it didn't even make sense that your own parents will sometimes bully you, that you have to run to the neighbors for safety. It's crazy. It was crazy. And my story begins with me when I was so young. I was born and I lived around this place in Taita Taveta County. This is where I was born. And when I was young, when I was probably, I think, because I started understanding myself when I was, I think, 4 years or 5 years. 5 years, that is in 2001. That's when I was, kind of understanding myself so well. And I remember we weren't really bullied a lot, but bullying and abuse started when I was in, I remember I was 10 years, yeah, 10. That was when I was in standard 4. I was 10 years old. And my parents were really abusive, both physically and emotional. And then the reason for contention and abuse was because of my performance in school. My parents expected my performance to be perfect, and I tried to explain to them that I was not going to be successful in class all the time, that there are times when the exams had to be challenging and my results would definitely not be perfect, not be good enough as they were at the previous time I did the exam and passed. And they just couldn't wrap their minds around this. They couldn't understand. They could just come up with theories of trying to make me look like I am being lazy, I'm not working hard, I'm dropping my studies, or I've developed habits that are making me not perform in class. And it started when I remember I just entered class standard 4, that was in 2006. And I remember when I was leaving class 3, I had performed exceptionally well. I was in top of my class. I performed so well, and I just moved to a new level. I was in class 4, and it was my first time to score 300 marks out of possible 500. I had never scored 300 marks. I had always been scoring 400 marks in the classes that were before we got class 5, before we got class 4. So My parents didn't want me to score 300. They started telling me that I'm failed. They wanted me to score 400 marks, to continue scoring 400 marks out of possible 500. It's crazy, because I could get there. This is a new level. And we fought. And in fact, in my first time when I was in class 4, I remember my first exam, I scored 308 out of possible 500. And it was the first time I was being the third person in class. I remember the first person was a lady. She had 317 marks, and then my desk mate who was the second person. He had 315 marks, and I was coming third with 308 marks. And my mom was so furious. They didn't want to hear that, and I tried to explain to them, but they couldn't hear that. They gave me silent treatment that day when I went back home with my report card, and they didn't want to talk to me. My own mom didn't want to talk to me. He was so mad at me, and I was just there, and I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to talk to. I mean, I had just disillusioned because I expected them to encourage me, because I expected them to come through for me when I was my lowest moment, but they didn't. They scorned me. They ridiculed me. They told me I'm eating their food for nothing. I'm just useless, all kind of bad words. And I tried to explain that I'm gonna work hard next time, and they tell you you're always saying next time, and I won't work hard. And we fought about that. We fought about that, and I just lived through that hell, that particular holiday season, which was 1 month after the holiday was over. I went back to school, and during the second time I had improved slightly. And I remember I had 300, I don't know, 329 I think, and I was number two. And then when I was in class 5, I had scored quite well, and I was on top of my class. And we were in class 5. But I didn't perform well the beginning of when I was in class 5, that is 2007. And my parents were bullying me, sometimes over a slight mistake, and they will starve me. I'll sleep hungry, and I'll go to school hungry. And it was painful. It was really, really painful. And for some very, very ridiculous reasons. Just ridiculous reasons. I just I remember one time when I went to greet a friend, I want to take a book from a friend, and I just went there, and I went and passed. I was late at home. I came home at 7 instead of 6, and my mom told me, "You go straight to bed. You're not eating. There's no food for you." And I was starving because I just eaten lunch at school, and I went home hungry. And the next morning I woke hungry, and I went to school, and I was collapsing. I was collapsing literally because I had not eaten. It was painful, and I didn't understand why they could do that for me. And they will starve me for very stupid reasons. My mom was toxic, toxic. She will starve me. She will tell me sometimes she find me with doing a very, very maybe I made a small mistake, and she told me, "You're not eating here. You've got to sleep hungry." And it was very, very painful. But at that time, we thought it was normal. We thought it was normal, so we endured. We thought maybe we deserve this, but it was not. It was not fun at all. So it continued that way, and we went to school. We went back to school. I went back to school. That is in 2005. I mean, in 2007, I continued with school, and then at the end, I scored good grades, and I went class 6. And we were fighting, and class 6 stopped working hard, and I dropped back my class, and I joined bad company, and my grades had reduced drastically. And my parents started, they talked and talked and talked and bullied and bullied me and starved me. And this bullying and manipulation continued. And I'll come home with my results, and my mom would be talking negative. So when I went class 7, I decided that I want to change things. I started working hard. I started scoring the best grades ever. And I went, and in class 7, I had improved drastically, and I scored best grades. And I remember the last exam when I was in class 8, I had scored 382 marks out of possible 500 marks. And my dad and my mom was so happy. They were so happy. They clapped for me, and I was so happy too. So next year, I was joining class 8. And in 2010, that is. So in 2010, I joined class 8. And my first exam, I scored 308 marks out of 5. I mean, I scored 326 marks out of 500. And my dad said, "You did the most stupid and the most useless thing ever. You have failed." And I tried to explain to him that this is a new level. I'm just new in this class. I've not internalized how things are done. Some of the things that I faced during the exam were tested that I've never faced them before. And my dad talk and talk trash. My mom will tell me, "You failed us, man. Look, you dropped from 382 marks to 326." And they will talk negative about me. They will bully me. It was painful. And that is in class 8. That's when we had the biggest fight ever because I couldn't please my parents. No matter how much I scored, they will always have something negative to talk about. I started hating my mom because of her toxicity. I remember one time when I was trying to revise mathematics in our living room because I was struggling mathematically. And my mom had just borrowed a book to start to improve on my mathematics. My mom would come and will tell me, "You're just doing maths all along. If you fail in the other subject, I'm gonna beat you." I was like, "What do you want me to do? You're the one who know my weakness. You fight." And she talk negative instead of supporting me, instead of encouraging me. She just talks negative and it's painful. And she will always talk negative. I thank God that I'm a strong kid. I didn't think of suicide. I didn't think of doing anything wrong because growing under abusive powers of my parents. Thank God for giving me the strength, the courage to push through the abuse. And so the abuse continued, and they scorned my results. There was a time when we had a man who came to our school, and there was a meeting, and he told everybody that if there is anyone who is going to score 400 marks out of pass with 500, then I'm going to give him some money. And I remember the next exam, I scored 360. And I went home. My mother asked me, "What have you scored?" And told him I scored 360 in this target exam. And my dad was so furious. He told me, "You have done nothing, man. That means there are 40 marks to score before you get there in 300. You get 400." And he started scorning me. I told him, "Man, I don't need to score 400 marks to be smart. I mean, that is level I can't. My intelligence level, my IQ doesn't take me there. I'm just doing I'm doing my best." And he just talks trash, and I can't lie to you. When you're trying to work hard, when you're trying to do your best according to the level of your intelligence, and you hear a person tearing you down, it breaks you emotionally. And that's what it was doing. It was breaking me emotionally. I failed painful. I tried to reason with him, trying to reason with him, but he was not understanding. He was not having none of it. And I didn't understand what to do with him. And they will talk and talk negatively about me. My dad is painful. He will talk trash. He will talk negative about me. And I just didn't know how to. I'll argue with them. They tell me the reason you're arguing, the reason why you are defending yourself is because you're arrogant. You don't want to listen to us. I tell him, "I'm trying my best. I'm doing the level of my knowledge." And that was me. I had a sister who struggled with academics. He just didn't know how to pass exams because academics were not his thing, were not her thing. She struggled a lot, and she was subject of bullying from my parents. My mom would bully her. She would beat her. She would beat the hell out of her because she couldn't perform simple mathematics. She could perform simple calculation. And she just didn't understand that every child is gifted differently. We are gifted differently. And I told myself, when I'm grown up, when God give me kid, when I get married and I got kids, I'm not going to treat my kids that way because I need to understand that every kid comes with his or her ability to do something. There are kids who are good at sports. There are kids who are good at academics. There are kids who are good at art. We are all different. We are not the same. You can expect a frog, we can expect a tortoise to compete with a rabbit in a running competition. It just doesn't work because Rabbit is built for speed, and turtle is not built for speed. They can't compete. They can't compete anywhere. You can't. You can't. There's no way. And you can't even compare a rabbit with probably a cat. Let's say a cat is good at climbing trees, but a rabbit can't climb trees because they're built different. And so are we human beings. I'm not the same as you. My abilities, my ability to do something is not the same as your ability. That's why we always have people who are top and we're always down. And I didn't understand why I didn't I didn't confront them on the fact that they are poor and there's some people who are rich and they were born at the same day. I didn't know how to, I mean, I didn't have that mind of confronting them with that truth, to try to show them that people are gifted differently, that we are different. So my parents' mouth was so abusive. Their mouth were toxic. Anything they say, it was pain, it was toxic. It was just toxic. And I kept wondering how I'm going to survive under the hands of my parents. So that was my final year in class in primary school. And I remember I just worked hard, and in third term I had failed. I'd failed. My mom had come to school to take me to the school headmaster. And he started telling headmaster that I am really, really failing. I remember in one exam I scored 345 marks. I must and the teacher was trying to reason with my mom and telling that sometimes exams are challenging, but my mom will have none of it. And so um they kept talking and talking and talking. So some few days later I was facing my national exam. I was just about to do my KCAPE exam. And I remember one night, let's say the exam is next week and today is Sunday. So tomorrow, which is Monday, is supposed to be rehearsal day, and then the real exam starts on Tuesday. So I remember I was chilling out. I just sitting in the living room, just reasoning. I mean, I was just thinking of, I was deep in thought, staring into space and deep in thought, trying to internalize, trying to think about, reflecting on the exam that is ahead of me. And my attention was focused ahead. I was not focusing on what people are talking. And my dad was sitting nearby, and my mom just asked a random question at us. I remember he asked, what is 85? What is 89, 88 plus 5? He asked that. And my dad said 95. And because I was staring in space, I nodded my head. I say, yeah, probably, yeah. I mean, I was not there. My attention was not there when mom was asking that question. And I just was staring in space absent-mindedly. So a few minutes later, my mom had calculated and found the answer to be 93. And she turned on me and she said, you said it's 95. I said, no. I mean, I was not even calculating about it. And this whole thing brought issues. My mom became so wild. She told me, you see, the this type of confusion is what is going to follow you in the exam room. This is how you're going to behave. You're going to fail on stupid question. And it became a huge fight. We fought over that. And I was so hurt because ahead of me, I have this exam that is coming. I need emotional support. I need support from the parents, emotional. I need parents to support me with encouraging words. But here is my mom trying to throw her toxicity, spilling her venom at me at such a critical and important moment. I was almost crying. I went to bed hurt that day. And my mom's throwing tantrums. She's like, you're going to fail on stupid questions because your mind is absent, because you are absent-minded. You're not always there when you're performing a calculation. You're just thinking on something, and she will just talk and talk and talk. And I was so hurt at her words. I was really hurt. I just didn't understand. I mean, I'm just telling a story of how I was feeling, but I cannot make you feel. I cannot make you understand how I felt that day. I feel like smacking. I feel like picking something and throwing it at her because of how hurt I was. But I just went to bed, and I remember I prayed and I told the Lord, I'm counting on you. I'm counting on you to help me. You know that I do not have anyone to count on. The next morning I woke up and I prayed fervently. I told God, you know what? I want you to help me to prove these people wrong. I'm gonna work hard and I'm gonna make sure that I'm going to score the best grades and I'm going to high school. And I prayed and I told the Lord, you saw my effort, you saw how hard I worked. I prayed and I counted on you. Now you helped me through these other exams. And right now I'm asking you, God, to come through for me because I have a very, very important exam ahead of me. I want you to help me because I want to score the best grades ever. And I prayed. And that day I left and I went to school to do rehearsal. I was not talking to my parents. I am talking to my mom and dad. And I went to school, I did rehearsal, and I came back. And I discovered that my mom was chosen to be in the committee that was to prepare food for the students who are doing the KCSE exam, the KCP exam that day, that particular week. And so my mom was in school that week. And suddenly she dropped her negative attitude. She started talking to me. And because I didn't want to intoxicate my week with negative energy, I gave into her aura and we started exchanging pleasantries. We started talking, we started having fun with her while she's in school. And the next day came and we left home. She prayed for me, my dad prayed for me too. And I left for school with my mom because I've told you my mom was cooking that day. She was preparing. She was one of the people who have been selected to prepare food for the students. And so we went to school. And I did the exam. I did the exam really, really well. That was Monday. That was Tuesday. I did mathematics, English, and I remember we had write a composition. The next day we did exams, and the third day finally we finished, and we went home for the December holidays. And it was really, really fun. I was so happy to have cleared high school, to have cleared primary school. And inside my heart, I knew I had performed exceptionally well, and I was not wrong. But my mom, as I've told you, she's toxic and she's full of things that can make you get hurt. Even today, when I'm still this old, that's why I try to avoid him, to try to avoid her because of the things that she does, the things that she says, because they're toxic. They're really toxic. So a few days later, that was in December, the exams results were out and they were waiting. They were so expectant. They were waiting for my results. And I was waiting for them, but I was also shivering. Like what I'm gonna tell them, how I'm going to face them if I fail. But fortunately, I didn't fail. But just before uh, we received our results, the results were announced like today, and the results started getting mentioned in the radio, and we started hearing whispers. There were students who have performed within our neighborhood. They have performed exceptionally well. But my mom mistook that for my failure. She said that my name is not being announced. My name is not being mentioned anywhere. So that suggests that I have not passed. Those people have passed, but I have not passed. And she started fighting with me long even before I've received my results. And she's just banging her head, throwing tantrums in the air and telling me, I'm not hearing your name in the news. It means that you've failed. You've wasted my money. I used my money to support your education. You've wasted my money. I tell her, can't you just chill down and wait for the result to come out? And she's having none of it. And we are fighting, we're fighting, we're fighting. And I'm like, oh my god, what am I gonna do, man? And I just didn't know what to do. So with that day we fought, and we fought so hard. And she will throw words at me, and I will throw them back at her. And we fought, we fought, we fought. But a few days later, I got my results. I had someone had sent an SMS, and they got the results for the top students in our school, and I had performed really nice. I had 363 out of 500, and that's quite good. It was not really bad. It was not good. It's just above average results. But I was just happy because I was going to a good school, and true to my words, I was called to join a very nice school, and so I went to school. But the toxicity of my parents didn't stop there. When I started high school, I'll come back for holidays, and I'll just make a little mistakes, and my mom will be on me. She'll be throwing tantrums. She'll be on me. She's just toxic. I just didn't understand her attitude. Sometimes she will just give me silent treatment. That was in Form 1. I remember one day we went to work somewhere, and I accidentally lost a tool that was so crucial at that type of work we are doing. And my mom refused to talk to me for the whole 1 week. She refused to talk to me. She treated me with silent treatment. She just give me silent treatment. My mom is a narcissist, a type of a narcissist. She ticks all the boxes of a narcissist. Those characteristics of a narcissist: a person who gives people silent treatment, a person who doesn't admit wrong. That's the kind of character my mom has. She never admits wrong. She will never say I'm wrong. Never. She's always right. And we argue and argue and argue, and she's so toxic, very toxic. So in Form 1, I was bullied. That day when I had lost that tool, my dad said, I'm deducting half of the pay I'm supposed to give you, because the other pay has to go and pay for that particular tool that you lost. And I said, okay, no problem. So my dad also joined my mom in mistreating me. And I go back to school, and that is in 2011 when I was in Form 1. And I completed Form 1 well, and we started Form 2. But one day, when I am in Form 2, students striked, and we were forced to go back home. So I went home and I told my mom what had happened. And that was when, after some few weeks, um, we received news that the school is going to raise school fees from 36,000 to 50,000. And my dad said that if that is the case, then I will have to you will not go to that school. Then you will have to drop out, because I don't know how I'm gonna pay 50,000. You can imagine that. And I didn't want to stop my education from that school. I really cried. I told God, no, don't let this happen, God. Don't let this happen. Because I don't want to drop from this school. I want to continue in this school. I want to continue learning in this national school. It's a good school. Do a miracle for me. And I remember at that time when the school said that it's gonna hike school fees. I came home. I came home, and I remember we clashed with mom one day. We argued. She told me during that holiday, she told me to go and represent my dad at a meeting in our primary school for my sisters. I go and represent my dad because my sisters were in that school, and she told me you go and represent them. So just before I went, she told me to go and pick something in her room. But the way she gave me the instructions, I mean, I didn't understand them, so I couldn't find the thing she told me to go and pick. And she just left, stormed out of the house, a kitchen, and she came to my room and told me, "Can't you see what I'm telling you to go and pick for me?" And I say, I didn't understand what I'm trying to say. So we had a little fight there, and it was a friendly fight. So that night, we talked well. I mean, I after that I left for school, and I went to school. And when I went to school, um, we started talking I represent I represent my brothers and sisters, and I came back home, and there is this lady who told me to pass her greetings to my mom. And when I went home, I tried to pass the greeting. I told my mom, "You have been greeted by a certain person," and she keeps quiet. And her moods had changed, and she doesn't want to talk to me. She's so angry at me, and I'm confused. What the hell wrong? What the wrong have I done? I've just a simple mistake. And my mom, she's so mad at me, and she doesn't even talk to me. So I was really, really angry, and I said, okay. And that night we ate, and I went to bed quiet. So the next morning, I was, I went to the kitchen to prepare tea, but there was no matches. There's no matchbox. So I turned to my mom and asked my mom for matchbox, and she told me that I should buy matchbox for myself. And I didn't have money to buy matchbox because I'm in high school. So I just went on my errands. So I went somewhere and spent time there. When I came back, my mom had prepared tea, had eaten, and she had just finished food. I found her eating food. And I asked her, "Where is my breakfast?" And she tells me, "Do you find food in this house?" I say, "Well, no, I don't find food." She said, "Okay, go on away." And my mom, just like that, she has served me breakfast. And I was so hungry. I spent the whole of the day hungry. I came to eat in the evening, and I just didn't understand why she would do that for me, because there was absolutely no reason to starve me breakfast that morning. I had to endure pain, and that mistreatment continued. I went to Form 3, and the school hiked school fees to 50,000 to around 60,000. And my mom, when I came home, my mom would address me as if I'm the one responsible for hiking those school fees. She would talk ill of me, and I didn't know how to respond. There's one time when I went to music festivals, and I came back, and my mom blamed me. She told me, you didn't go for festival. You went to do your stuff. Because I remember when we had gone for music festival and I had come back, my dad received a text message from our teacher, and the 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 the, the, the teacher was telling us was trying to pass information to me through my dad's number. And he was telling me that certain students within our group have been feted, they've been given good results, and there's one person who has been selected to go and go to France. And I was not there. I was not there. And my dad was telling me, "Where are you in this group? I'm not seeing you here." And I'm trying to tell my dad that I was just in the supporting role. I was not the main character in that story, in that play. I was just supporting. I was just playing a supporting character. And my dad would tell me, "You didn't go to this music festival. It means that probably you are defeated and you are supposed to go back home." And you know what? And he will just raise issues. He told me, "Oh, you are lying to me, you are blackmailing me." And it was painful. And I had to endure pain from my own parents. Toxic parents. I was really shattered. So I endured it. And finally, I went to Form 4. When I went to Form 4, I decided to distance myself from the toxicity of my parents. I said that I'm not hearing them. I worked hard, but they will just find reasons to get angry at me, just mad at me, for no reasons absolutely. And I asked my brother, "What's wrong? What wrong have we done to deserve this kind of treatment from our parents?" And at one time, I was just using a table to study. And my mom got angry, got sick. And because of her temperament and a negative attitude when she's sick, I didn't want to go near her. So after a few days she recovered, and she told my brother, "I want you to give me that table. You will study in bed." And she took her table away from us. Imagine you are taking a study table from your children's room because you don't want them to use your table. You want them to study on the bed. Can you imagine that kind of cruelty, that kind of toxic behavior? That's how toxic my parents were. My mom was really toxic. And at one time, I remember, um, I just I was on holiday, and I was preparing. I was supposed to prepare tea in the morning, and my mom says that I don't want that person who is black because I am the darkest guy in the room. She said I don't want the kind of black to prepare tea for me. To prepare tea for me, I want, because you are black. You're black. I don't want you to prepare tea for me. Can you imagine my mom ridiculing me because of the color of my skin? Because my siblings are light skinned and I'm the one who is dark skinned. But my mom tells me I don't want black people to prepare tea for me. And I'm shattered. So one day I woke up and prepare tea. And there's no sugar. I go to tell my mom that there's no sugar. And that she tells me that uh because there is no sugar, what do you want me to do? And so, because I have been working, I told my brother to go and buy sugar so that we can use it. And I use my own sugar. And my dad come and when I start buying my sugar, my mom says, from today you'll be buying your own sugar. When I cook, you buy your own sugar and prepare your own tea. That's kind of toxic, how toxic my parents are. And it's painful and it hurts me so much. So my mom tells me she prepares tea, but when it comes to serving my tea, she puts no sugar in my tea because she says that I need to buy my own sugar, and I don't even understand the reason why she tells me that way. So I start buying my own sugar until I go back to school. One day I don't have sugar to buy. I don't have any sugar. I don't have money to buy sugar, and I can't even drink tea. Can you imagine the kind of thing? I suffered from my parents. I suffered under my parents. And so I complete high school and I'm at home waiting to join university because I have passed well. But during the after high school, because we completed in November, and during that December holiday, we will work. I will leave home and I'll go to work at a quarry because I used to break stones and I'll get paid. But there was time when I get paid, my dad told me he gave me a list of things to buy. He told me you have to buy 5 kilograms of sugar, 5 kilograms of rice, 3 kilograms of sugar. I don't know how many packets of wheat. And my brother tells me, no, this is manipulation. Why is he forcing you to do this? A parent is not supposed to force his kid to do this. And when we complain, he tells me this is my house. If you can't do what I say, then leave. Go and find your own place to live. And the toxicity continues. And I'm very, very shattered. So I decide that one day, that day when he tells me to do that, I didn't do that. I didn't buy any sugar. I didn't buy anything. I didn't buy anything. I just went home and used that money that I was paid to pay for our bicycle because at that time we were fetching water um, without any equipment. So I used that money to pay for bicycle so that our bicycle can be set free. And when my dad came home and he found that I have not bought anything, he got furious. I told him I've used the money to pay for bicycle. And he got so mad. He told me, oh, I don't know what to do. I don't know what. I don't know what. And he threatened to kick me out of the house, but he didn't. And they kept starving us, starving us. I remember one time, we were supposed to go and dig at a certain place because my parents are poor, and I was born in a poor family. So we relied on these particular jobs, which were casual jobs from laborers. We were laborers, so we were supposed to go and work at some farm and make money to buy food. And so I had prepared myself to go there, and I went to ask my mom for 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 a djembe. And my mom told me, I don't know where that djembe is. And told me, why do you expect us to go to use to when we're what are you expecting us to use? Because you've told us to go and help you to dig. And mom tells me that he tells me that um I don't know, just know where to find a djembe and come to the shamba. And so we decided that we're not going to the shamba because we did not know where to get djembes from. And that later evening, they said that they're not going to give us food. So we say, okay, if you're not going to give us food, then okay. And they started starving us. So the next day, I went and borrowed, me and my brother, I went and borrowed djembe somewhere. I went and borrowed djembe somewhere from a friend, and I went and followed them and we dug. But that evening, they also starved us food, and I have corrected my mistake. So that day I decided, okay. So I went to my mom. I waited them when they're eating, and I told her, okay, I want you to do this. Tomorrow I want you to give me my documents. Because if this is the situation, then okay, give me my documents. I leave this house. There's no problem. I'll go find a place to stay. And my mom tells me that, where are you going? I told me, you don't need to know. I just want my documents so that I can go. And I start breaking down because of I start crying in front of her. I told me, Yenny, you really decide to do this to us. You decide to starve us for nothing. Yesterday you said that we didn't work. That's why you decided to starve us. Now today I have followed you. I've borrowed a djembe and I have worked. And you have starved me. I was crying and I was breaking down. And my mom pretended, okay, now go and eat, go and eat, go and eat. After she's seeing me crying. And I am surprised at the kind of cruelty, at how cruel she is. So cruel. My mom is so cruel. These are the things which, when I remember, when I think of them, I don't feel my parents deserves my forgiveness because what they did to me was really, really toxic and cruel. But um, after some time, um, I decided that we've had enough. So they gave us food at night after complaining of their cruelty and calling them cruel, but it didn't change things for a long time. So after a short while, I went to university. I remember, um, I've not told you, but there was a person who told me that they are going to help me to join university. They're going to support my university education. But I went to school to ask. That person came to our school, came to my high school, and he told the principal that he's going to sponsor me my education in university. So one day when I received my results, when I received um my letter asking the letter that has called me to join my university, I went to school to inquire about that person. And the principal started telling me that, you know what, this person is a politician. He had promised so many students to help him, to help so many students. So I'm just giving you a little tip that he may say that he's helping you, but maybe his help is not going to be permanent. Maybe it's just temporary. So you better go and tell your parents to get some money so that you can have some money to go back to school, so that they don't rely on this person, because this is a politician and his promises cannot be relied on. So I go with that information back at home. I tell my mom and my dad that, you know what, the principal has told me. He has told me that this person is a politician. He is not reliable. He has promised really to help me, but even the principal himself thinks that maybe his help is not going to, maybe it's not going to last. Maybe it's just going to help me a little while. So I told my parents about that. My parents said that we have understood you. I told my parents that my decision is that I'm going to join university after 1 year. I'm going to find a work, I'm going to work, and after getting some money, I will take myself to university on my own free terms. I'm not going to rely on this person. But The next day, I left home and I put my phone, I left my phone at the charging and I didn't go to school. But this guy, this new politician comes to school and he start inquiring about me. And he asked the principal to find me. So the principal calls my dad and he tells my dad there is this person who promised to take me to university and he is at school and he's asking for my whereabouts. And I was not around at that moment. So that evening I come back and my parents faces me with questions. They tell me, where have you been? You are There's this guy who is looking for you. You don't want to go to university. I don't know what. And tell them it's not about that. I've told you before that this person is promising to take me to university, but probably maybe it's just for show off because he's looking for votes. Maybe his help is not going to be permanent. That's why I've decided not to rely on him. But my parents calls some of their friends and they tell them that I've refused to join university and I don't even know what to do. So one friend, one family friend calls me and he asks me why have I refused not to join university. And I tell them that it's because my parents, is because I'm not sure about the promises of this person. I am trying to tell this person that what if this prince, this guy, this politician, decide to help me to start university and then he leaves me off the road. He just decide to abandon me. What am I gonna do? And my family is poor. My studies are going to stall. So that's why I don't want to rely on him. But this guy encourages me and he tells me, no, just go and take risk anyway. So the next day I decided to go to school to look for that man. And after looking him for some time, for some few days, I find him. And he gives me money to join university. And I go and start my school at the university. I start 3.1. I start 1.1. I start first semester, first year. And after I've completed the first year, first semester exams, I go back home for holiday and this man cannot be found anymore. My dad start blaming me. He tells me that you should have gone and looked for him in his house. I tell him it makes no difference. Even right now, he is aware that I'm supposed to receive help from him. And my dad start blaming me. So after a short while, I go to our MCA and I tell him about my situation. And my MCA calls this person and he tells him that there is this kid who is supposed to be joining school and you're supposed to help him. And the guy says, no, I'm not helping him anymore. He's supposed to have applied for bursary and help. I'm not there anymore. And I go back to my parents and I tell them that did I not tell you that this person is going to abandon me? I told you I'm not supposed to start school on relying on other person's help. And I tell them what the guy has said. He has said that he's not going to help me, that I'm supposed to to have applied for bursary and help. And these are the things I did. I had already applied for bursary, I had applied for help, but the help has not been released and there's no bursary. And so I stay home like that. But after staying for some time, um, I get, I got after staying home for some time. After staying home for some time, I receive a text message that is telling me that I've been called, I've been selected to join, I receive a text message from HELP, and they give me exact amount of money that I need to go back for second semester of the first year. So I go back to university, I complete first year, and I come back home. And after some time, because it was a tri semester, after 2 weeks, I go back to school because the my area MCA had organized for contribution for fundraising and I receive money go back to school. But after my 1.2 exam, I come for long holiday, and that's now where I start clashing with my parents. I'm looking for a job. And my dad is telling me, you're just here at home. You don't want to go back. You don't want to go and find a job. And I tell them, what do you want me to do? And they tell me, you don't want to go and disturb this member of parliament, the MCA, and trying to see if they can help you. I tell him that I have done that. but they're not helping me. I'm trying to find a job at this company. And we had a huge fight on that. We started fighting. And one day I woke up and I receive I receive a phone call, and I'm told, come and start work at this company. So I go and start work. I work hard, I save my money, and I go back to school and I complete second year. So that year ends seamlessly. But the real trouble started in 2018 when I was in my third year, first semester. That's when the venomous nature of my parents reached its full peak. I had just returned school for third year first semester exams. Third year first semester. They had contributed nothing. They had not given me money. I had just worked during the holiday, but the money was not enough. So I come back home. I mean, it was just during the elections, and the university announces that everybody go back home. So I go back home, and after the elections are over, we're supposed to go back to continue with the semester in 2018 January. And I tell my parents, I sit them down and tell them, this time round, I didn't have a job. I tried to find a job, I didn't get a job. So I don't know how to continue with my studies. And my mom tells me, like, my mom and my dad, they tell me, if this school is becoming a burden to you, just leave it. And I tell them that it's your responsibility as parents to make sure that we are going back to school. And they tell me that if it's become a burden to you, just leave it and stay without school. Can you imagine your parent telling you to leave school? Imagine you are in third year, first semester, and your parents, they're telling you to leave school. They're telling you that you can leave that school, that you leave school, that it's not necessary. Can you imagine that kind of thing? And I am shocked. I'm like, what I'm gonna do? So a few days later, I had a brother who had just completed high school, and he had scored a very good grade. He has scored B plus, and he goes to my dad, and he tells my dad that he wants my dad to help him to help him with 1,500 shillings so that he can go and make registration for courses of the university for admission, so that he can be admitted at university. But my dad tells him that I'm not going to contribute anything to education. My deal with you is over. You just find a way on how you figure out a way on how you're going to raise that money. So I tell my brother, let's go and get some money somewhere. And we get money. And we go, I take my brother to the cyber, we apply for university. And I tell him that we are doing the part that we can. The part that we can't, we give it to God. We let God do the rest. And so I go back home, and the exams are just about to start at school, and I'm home with my parents. I'm wondering what I'm going to do. My parents are just there, and exams are supposed to start. So one day we start talking, and my dad is telling me that I'm spending so much time in my phone, and I'm telling that it is the internet age. We are living in the internet age. We're no longer living in the age of where the way you live while you're growing up. And this conversation continues like that. And at one time, I started telling my dad started getting angry at me, and I telling him that now you are getting angry. You are a parent. You're supposed to lead us by example, but you're just here folding your hands. And I am not. I'm not doing any exams. Can you imagine exams are continuing in school, and I'm here at home, and you are my father, and you don't even give a damn about that? What kind of a parent are you? What kind of a parent are you? I'm cautioning my dad, and my dad get angry at me, and he tells me that you have disrespected me. So from today, find a place to eat, find a place to stay. And I say, okay. So they start starving us again. And I'm start using the same money that I have saved that is supposed to take me to school. I start saving it. And I'm saying okay. I'm saying okay. And the situation worsened. My dad says that I don't my mom says that I don't want you to cook your food in my kitchen find a place to cook your own food. So one day I decided that this is too much. So it has been 1 week. They have been starving us. We have been cooking our own food with our own money, and they have been cooking theirs with their own money. And I go, and one day I decided to call my uncle. I tell my uncle, my parents have become too toxic. We can't bear this anymore. I want you to help me. I want to come to that place and live in your place until I finish the university. Then I sort myself out. And my parents tells me, sympathizes with my situation, and he tells me come. So the next day I pick my everything, and I go and live with my parent, my uncle family. I tell them about the treatment that I am receiving from my own parents, and they are so shocked. They are so shocked, but they believe me because they don't get along with my mom because of how she behaves. They know they know the character of my mom well. So at that moment, um, I start living in my uncle's place, and I didn't tell my parents that I have. I mean, my parents didn't know where I've gone. They start looking for me. So after a short while, my brother also leaves and come to live with me too. He comes to live with my uncle, and we're living. We lived away for 10 good months. We lived for 10 good months away. And the people in our village are confronting our parents because of their toxic behaviors, because they have understood how toxic my parents are. Now they are seeing the consequences of their actions. Now my parents are suffering with depression because everywhere they go, they are confronted. They're told this is wrong. They're told you are wicked. They're told you are evil. You're treating your kids like trash, and you expect these kids to come and help you in future. You know, they they were told, they were treated so poorly. Everybody's giving them, is looking down upon them because of what they did to us. And the pressure gets too much. And my parents start calling me when I'm still in my parents' house. They start begging me to come back home. And one day we go back home and we start living. We live in our house. So I go back to school, and I noticed that their behaviors have changed. They stop abusing us. They have suddenly become good to us because they suffered when we were away. They suffered from the pressure of the of our neighbors and the society within. They were confronted. They were confronted so bad, and they were shamed, publicly shamed. So they changed their behavior and start treating us well when we go back home. And my uncle still kept calling me and asking me if I'm doing well. I say yes, I'm doing well. So I go back to school. I complete my third year. I complete my third year and I complete my fourth year in 2021. And after completing campus in 2021, I remember one day I was supposed to graduate in that 2021 December. And my parents started asking me why I have not, if I have any plans for graduation. And I tell them the reason why I'm not graduating at this moment is because of missing marks. Because when I deferred, the results were mixed up. I'm in a different lot, and everything is mixed up. That's why I'm not in school. And this whole thing brings issues. And we start fighting again with my mom. I tell my mom, it's your fault. You people are the one who caused me to defer my studies, because you refused to pay my school fees in time, and I couldn't exam in time. So I had to defer. And we fight with my mom. My mom says I'm responsible for my own for my own missing marks, and that she's not responsible. And we had a huge fight over this. And when this fight continues, it started dawning on me that I can no longer continue living with my parents. I am 24 years old then, and I've already seen enough toxicity. And my mom started telling me that you are already old, and I can't imagine at this age you're still living under your parents. You're supposed to find a place to stay. And I say, okay, no problem. Mama, find a place to stay. So one day I get a job, and I stay away for almost 1.5 years. I don't regularly visit home. But because the job doesn't pay me well, one day I decide to leave that job and I go back home. But my presence at home, my dad started treating me like rubbish. He started talking to me like trash. He started treating me like rubbish. And I'm like, what do you want me to do? And there is a lot of disrespect in the house because I have just left my job, and it's like they don't want me around them. So one day my dad tells me that I've been living with you. You are 27 years old, and it is time to part ways with me. If you're going to stay here until the next week, please, you have to find a place. You have to find a food. You have to find your own food. You have to find, I don't know what. And I tell my dad, okay, it's okay. I've had you. And I am leaving this house and I'm carrying nothing. And that's when I decided that I have, I'm doing away with my parents. I washed my hands, and the next day I picked up my certificates, my birth certificate, my exam results, and everything, and I left home. And I decided now I'm going to find peace in a place where I'm going to stay. I'm not going to live near my parents. It's now time to find peace. It's now time to live on my own. It's now time to depart from this toxicity. And I go away. And suddenly it dawns on my parents that this guy has left us for good and is not coming back. And I go and stay peaceful. But after some days, my dad calls me and I don't pick his phone. And he texts me, tells me, no, I'm sorry for what I told you. Please, can you come back home and we talk? And I don't respond. And I decide to live on my own. And I've been living happily ever. The respect is back. They don't, I mean, there is respect. And my parents, um, they tried to find me. They tried to use every possible means to get to me, but I blocked them out of my life until one of my managers, the manager of the department where I work, where I found work, decided to intervene and tried to reconcile me with my parents. After too much pressure from a manager, I decided to get right with them, to make things right with them. But I had put boundaries. I said, if they're gonna cross these boundaries again, then it's time to cut them off completely in my life, because I'm not going to tolerate toxicity. So I have suffered, my friend. This is my story. I've left so many details, and my language probably may not have been good to explain everything I went through, but there is so much I went through that I've not mentioned here. And the crazy thing is that I've also met people who are not my parents, some friends and classmates who have the same behavior like my parents, people who are toxic. So this is something that is in every place. And it's something that you're going to encounter. Maybe you will not, maybe your parents is not toxic, but probably you're going to encounter a toxic marriage partner. You're going to encounter a toxic girlfriend, a toxic boyfriend. You're going to encounter toxic classmates. It's something I've seen. I've encountered toxic classmates, people who have done things, have said things that have hurt me. It is something that has always been. But the most important thing is that you need to prioritize your peace. You need to reach a point in life where the actions of other people are not going to hurt you. Learn to forgive, learn to let go. Right now, after my manager reconciled me with my parents, we do talk with my parents. I do talk with them. I do talk with my parents, but I've put boundaries. I've put boundaries. I mean, I don't want to get too close to them so that they don't get too much of me and start disrespecting me. There's this boundary, and they know if they start treating me like trash, then I must step back and cut them out of my life. So they trade carefully. They tread carefully. But I thank God for helping me. I asked God, at one time, I asked God to help me to forgive them because I was not forgiving them. I couldn't forgive them. And I asked God, help me to forgive them. Help me to forgive these people because they have done so much emotional damage to me that I don't even know how to forgive them. But God helped me and I forgive them, and I don't hold anything against them. I don't. I've forgiven them. But the fact that I've forgiven them doesn't mean that I've given them chances to torment my life again with their venomous and toxic characteristics. toxic nature. I have I'm being friends, I'm being good with them, but on a distance. I've kept my distance. I don't live around them because I know when I live near them, I don't even visit home often because I know too much familiarity breeds contempt. They start becoming contempt. They start treating me like trash. But thank God for everything that happened. And this is my story. I hope it inspires a lot of people in this group because of this.